Ooh,
This is Hugs, Bruce, Hilda, Rebel Shell, Rock Clobster, Dixon Stones of the DC Roller Girls, and you're listening to Sleazy Sports.
The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. You believe in miracles? Yes! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!
Live from the basement capital of the world, it's Sleazy Sports.
It's one of those things that sucks you down into this giant tornado of awesome, bringing you the sleaze to the stellar and everything in between.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! It's a home run!
With your hosts, Coach Scott, Zoe, Dean Ash, and Sweet Lou.
I don't believe what I just saw! I don't believe what I just saw!
It's time to tear apart the sports world and...
In a week, I couldn't start tonight's show off talking about the NFL without hurting Lou's feelings. This is Sleazy Sports.
That's funny. It doesn't hurt my feelings, you know. Y'all want to be little Goodell's little sheeple.
You're right, because we never talk about the NFL on this show. It's not like our bread and butter or anything.
Your bread and butter. It's not my bread and butter.
It's not your bread and butter?
I was going to say, maybe I want more than bread, and I'm going to stick into that a little bit later on today. So, yeah.
Well, just, there are times of the year.
Well,
that's all right. I ended up, you know, I have, we have these Sonos speakers in our house, so I was trying to, we have apps that we can listen to other, besides me, you can mostly listen to music on them, but I was trying to find some sports radio to listen to, and I stumbled upon a Dallas radio station today. And of course, all they talked about was the Cowboys.
Oh, of course they did, yeah.
For 2 hours. No baseball, no, Rangers might sign somebody. Of course, there's no Dallas area team that made the tournament because SMU didn't make it, or A&M didn't make it.
I'm sorry. I was going to say
the University of Houston made it, but SMU didn't make it. Texas A&M didn't make it anyway. So they literally talked about. And we'll get to I know we got lots and lots of NFL signings and stuff. Mm-hmm. They talked a lot about one of their, Randy Gregory snubbed them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Said he was going to, at 10 a.m. this morning, said he was going to sign with them, and then ended up signing with Denver because, But it does make me laugh. Everybody has a focus, and Coach's focus is on his Dolphins.
Well, my women's team is kind of in the tournament. They're in the first four, but I don't know. My men's team's not even in the tournament. The Heat's doing pretty well. They're still the 1 seed as of now, but
exactly. You got the best team in the East and the NBA. Your Marlins have a fresh start.
You got LeBron. You got LeBron pegging people with the ball.
I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, with got Scotty Barnes of the Toronto Raptors, but the Lakers are going through a lot right now. I don't know if you guys saw a clip.
Well, he
legit cussed out his teammates for poor boxing out and rebounding.
But Lou, you know how some players, because obviously it's the practice that they're going out of bounds, so you throw the ball off someone so that hopefully it goes off them and goes out of bounds. Well, LeBron took it to another level. He was kind of up in the air going out of bounds, brought the ball all the way back and just tossed it as hard as he could at a guy that was laying on the floor. And then the ball bounced straight up in the air and didn't go out, and the other team got the ball anyways. But it just looked so bad.
Yeah.
Anyways, welcome to
Sleazy. Have we already named our sleaze then, I guess? LeBron?
Well, there's a parental suit that's out there. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
Against LeBron?
No. Against someone else. I'll bring it up doing Scotty. Yeah, okay. Is that interesting? Yeah.
Okay. So,
anyways, so of course we got plenty to talk about tonight. We're going to do our March Madness brackets in the second half of the show, so stick around for that. But yes, before we get there, as you were mentioning, plenty of news in baseball as well as football this past week. So I figured to celebrate Lou, I'd start off with the MLB news first. Especially since, the second half of the show is all about college basketball. But anyways, so I want to start off before we even talked about the free agency and the trades that happened. That well, obviously we know the baseball season's going to start about a week and a half late. Is that about right?
Yeah, barely a week late. It's actually it's like 1 week late. Yeah. Exactly 7 days. It's always going to start late.
So, which is why we're actually extending our picks that we do. Instead of doing it 2 in the first week, we're just going to do 1 per week like we used to do. Because also that way we can all still throw in some hot seats and work things around. But anyway, so they did pass a new CBA, obviously agreeing, and we got some new stuff out of this. Some that they've been trying, some that they hadn't. They're going to go with expanded playoffs from here on out, kind of like we saw with the COVID rules, but that's going to stay around. They're also going to, for the first time, have advertising on uniforms.
Wow.
I didn't read it close enough to know if teams have to do this or if it's, if it's just optional. Because I would think a team like the Yankees or somebody wouldn't do it because they wouldn't want to hurt their own brand. But what do I know? But yes, advertising on uniforms. The National League is going to have a DH now. We're going DH in the National League, which actually is part of the reason I believe the Nationals signed a certain player just today, which we'll get to when we talk about the free agency signings. They picked up who had been one of the best DHs in the game for a bit, so if he can keep it up. But yeah, so the National League adding the DH. They took a page from the NBA, and they're trying to spruce up their draft a little bit, and they're going to do a draft lottery now for Major League Baseball.
And that was, insisted on by the players. It wasn't to spruce up the draft; it's to avoid tanking, which is, I think, sort of why the NBA started it all those years ago. But
that's exactly why they started it. Yeah.
I don't think you see tanking in the same sort of way because the baseball draft is so different.
Well, it's different because you're not drafting guys that are like ready to play in the professional length, because there's a minor league system in baseball as opposed to college works as your minor leagues. But the players insisted on it because of the tanking. Right. They don't want teams to be able to like tank and get, because, even in the baseball draft, you can, get better players if you're picking earlier.
Right.
It really is why the players insisted on it. It wasn't just, they don't even I guess they televise. Because there's an MLB network, they televise the draft, but it's not like people sit around and watch it like they do the NFL draft or even the NBA draft.
Right.
It was something the players really wanted to insist on, because then at first that was a big negotiating point. Was the owners were like, okay, we'll do like a 3-team lottery, and the players wanted like a 12-team lottery, and then they had to negotiate back and forth on how many teams would actually have to be in the lottery. That was a big negotiating point.
We won a 30-team lottery. So if I'm not mistaken, all those rules happen pretty much immediately. There's rules that they have that are going to start up in 2023 instead of this year to leave a little room for getting ready, I guess. The big one to come out of that is they're going to ban shifts, which depending on who you are, you either think it's great if you're someone like me, because I just think shifts are stupid and you should be playing straight up, even though they are professional hitters, and you would hope that a professional hitter could hit the ball to the opposite side of the field if the entire team's on one side of the field. But others, for that same reason, don't like it because, it's a strategy, and all different sports have a certain type of strategy, no matter what it is, doubling a receiver down the field a certain way, people automatically like, well, what if you don't allow that in the NFL anymore? Like, it's a different game. But I think it's good. Obviously, you guys can talk about it momentarily. I just wanted to mention the rules first. Also, they're going to institute a pitch clock. So we'll see how that goes. But I guess, once again, as we've mentioned before, they're trying to speed up the game to make them not as long. So we'll see how that goes with the pitch clock. And also, I wasn't sure exactly on this rule, but apparently they're going to be putting in larger bases, Lou.
It's a couple of reasons. Injuries actually is part of it. The risk of like collisions at first base would be less. It actually may increase stolen bases. I know that kind of sounds weird, but that extra like 2 or 3 inches. I mean, imagine how many bang bang plays there are at second on a stolen base attempt.
Just ask a bunch of ladies about a bang bang with another 2 or 3 inches. I mean,
Coach beat me to it.
D was going there. Just saying.
But yeah,
I mean my mind was turning. Yeah.
It is to increase the chances of getting stolen bases because most of the speed has been taken out of the game. With all we do is hit home runs and strike people out. It is injury concerns on the base paths. They've tried to legislate a lot of that out with collisions at second base and at home. But yeah, and it's to put stolen bases back into the game. But the other thing about the rules changes is for years it's only been like they could make rules change. The owners could make changes to the rules. They had their own committee. They said we're going to make this change, and all they had to do was say we're going to make it in 1 year. And the players union I guess they could object, but they really had no recourse. Now there's going to be a committee made up of both players and owners and like an umpire. There's going to be a standing committee so that rules changes can be implemented quicker to the game and hopefully react more to what's happening on the field and maybe to whatever the fans are concerned with. And then some other things that obviously, like Sweet Lou likes, like robo-umps, they're going to continue to work on those in the minors, use those systems in the minor league level to see if they're ready. And if they are, you'd see those implemented in the majors faster because you now have this committee that has both sides on it. They can implement something and not have to wait, a year and a half. I like the pitch clock a lot. I mean, you figure games used to take 2 hours mostly because of the, how long it takes the pitcher, steps off the rubber, gets back in. I mean, but it works both ways. I mean, they're going to have to a few years ago they told the players, the batters, except on a foul ball, they couldn't leave the batter's box. But these guys, they keep 1 foot in and they step out, and the whole thing with I feel like Nomar's the one that started it, but the whole thing with the batting gloves and the Velcro and shift and adjust, it works both ways. They're going to have to keep on their batters too.
Yeah.
If the pitcher's got to be ready in so many seconds, that batter's got to be in the box and ready in so many seconds for the pitch.
But I have to ask, since you guys are a little bit smarter than I am as it pertains to this, I mean, I look at it as a strategy. I have no issues with strategy in sport, but why is shifting a bad thing in baseball?
Well, it's definitely, I mean, it because of, I mean, it came out because, they got these analytics guys in there and they figured out, so many people were hitting so many balls to that side of the field. So they started shifting and it decreased. I mean, you could just see raw statistics and easy statistics to look at how many batting averages went down because of the shift. I mean, it worked. The shift works. So now because guys if they don't just try to hit a home run, they're grounding out all the time. Whereas, you get no more ground ball with eyes. You get no balls in the hole. Nobody's getting a base hit through the hole because there's more people. If a guy, when he hits a ground ball, always hits it to one side or the other, then if you got 3 guys on that side instead of 2, the chances of getting it through a hole and getting a base hit are so much less. So if you get rid of that, batting average is going to go up. People want to. What I think they think is that fans want to see more guys on base, more singles, more base runners, strategy involved. Whereas now, we talked about this in the past. It's like, I'm trying to remember what they call it, but there's like the I don't know. It's not the no fun outcome, but there's no strategy outcome. It's either a walk, a strikeout, or a home run. And yes, everybody loves home runs, but people that like pitching like to see strikeouts, but that's really all you do. Guys are striking out or hitting home runs. And you get a walk thrown in there every once in a while. And that's what was, not only is the game slower because pitchers are really pitching for strikeouts instead of pitching to contact, but all you get is a strikeout or a home run. Batting averages are way down, but homers are way up.
But yeah, I was thinking that, shifting, of course, it's a defensive strategy. It's something, well, the removal of it is something that basically helps out batters. And
yeah, it will.
It's going to sound weird, right? And I know it's going to sound weird saying it out loud. As much as I enjoy defensive strategy, I'm still not a proponent of defense win championships.
Well, I mean, it definitely has. It has helped so much that in the way the hitters have adjusted, is now you have this thing about launch angle. Everybody's changing their swings to try to hit more fly balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fly ball, your fly ball rate goes up, and that's a big stat now.
Mm-hmm.
The chances of hitting a home run go up.
Okay. Yeah, that was it.
Well,
You can see it go, but okay.
And there's been certain things about it, not to get too in the weeds on this one, but like there's been talk that, well, maybe you'd be allowed to shift, but you'd have to wait until, the pitcher was in his windup, and then you could like start shifting. And it's been things like, you got to have two guys on each side of the base, but you could have a guy like basically up the middle, and then like as soon as the pitch went, he could like slide to the side to side, so you could like kind of modify the shift rule.
Okay.
There's been things about, they have to be on the dirt and not in the outfield, because that's a lot of it too. Usually when the shift goes, like say it's a, right-handed batter, third baseman's where he always was. Shortstop plays deep, like shallow left, and the second baseman plays kind of where the shortstop, but kind of up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be able to like play in the outfield. You'd have to have your feet on the dirt. There's been different, minutia about how these shift rules would work.
Okay.
I'm not sure what they've actually approved, or if they're still waiting to like get final approval of this new committee about what's going to. None of that takes place this year. I know, like Coach said, It's all set to go in place in 2023. But it is funny because they spent all that lockout talking money issues, which the lottery was in the money issues because it has to do with competitive balance and people not trying to tank their teams. That they spent so little time working on things about the rules, which is what us fans actually care about.
So let's talk about the moves that have happened in Major League Baseball, and they're in the order of when they happen. That's the only reason that they're in that certain order, not of importance or whatever. Obviously, nobody knew what was going to happen with Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw signed a 1-year deal to stay with the LA Dodgers to try to win another one. Why not, right?
Yeah. He's had lots of injury problems. He's getting up there in age, but I think it's probably a safe deal, only 1 year.
And then the big trade that went down early was between the New York Yankees and the Minnesota Twins. This had the Yankees sending catcher Gary Sanchez along with their infielder Gio Urshela to the Minnesota Twins for Josh Donaldson, who was the big name, along with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and Ben Rortvedt, the catcher. Was it Rortvedt, the catcher?
Yeah. The Twins have been very active. They actually, that Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, whatever his name is, wasn't even a Twin. They actually got him in a trade like 2 days earlier with the Rangers. They sent their starting catcher at the time, Mitch Garver, to the Rangers to get Kiner-Falefa, and then turned around and used him as trade fodder in this huge trade with Donaldson. But obviously, the Yankees were looking to bolster their infield, bolster their lineup with a guy like Donaldson. They decided Urshela was expendable. He was a rookie of the year runner-up a couple years ago. But I guess they decided he didn't need to be part of their future plans. Donaldson's a big bat. He's also, I'm trying to remember how old he is. I guess I could find out how old he was. He's definitely in his 30s, but he's not like 33, 34. And Gary Sanchez has had a rocky career as a Yankee. One of the best hitting catchers in Major League Baseball, but certainly people have taken umbrage with his abilities behind the plate. Lets too many runners steal on him. Isn't the best defensive catcher in the world. Right. But definitely, with the bat, he's outstanding. Even in limited time, he started not even starting every day for the Yankees last season, but he's still, I think, even in limited starts, he had about 25 home runs last season for the Yankees. So he's got a big bat. It's an interesting move. On the hitting side, the Yankees usually come up gold in these things. And it bolsters what is already a spectacular lineup. But when we do our East preview, I'm sure we'll talk about the Yankees. They still got a great lineup, and can the pitching staff hold up? Because that's what didn't hold up last year. And
they've got an ace. That's about all they got.
Oh, they got one starter, and
well, it's not even a starter. He's phenomenal, but.
Oh, Garrett Cole's phenomenal. And they got one great, they got an aging but spectacular closer.
Right. So also maybe showing their hands a bit and starting the Freddie Freeman sweepstakes. The Atlanta Braves made a move to prove that they just might be going away from Freeman and sending 4 prospects to Oakland for big-time first baseman Matt Olson to bring him in to be the first baseman in Atlanta.
Yeah, so they remove one Georgia native for another, right?
Oh, is Matt a Georgia native?
I think he is on the Braves social media on Instagram. They said, "Welcome back home."
And they turned right around and signed Olson to an 8-year, $168 million contract.
Yeah.
So I think one of the reasons the A's were looking to unload Olson was because I don't think he was in any hurry to sign a long-term deal with the A's. So, but I'll let D talk about this. Braves are his team.
Well, I mean,
he was born. He was born in Atlanta. You're correct.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about it other than that. It's like, okay, cool, let's go.
Are you disappointed? I mean, Freddie's been the heart and soul of that team for quite a long time.
No, you're right. He has been. But time is changes. Time to move on.
It's a business. We got to move on.
I mean,
when Freddie's the starting first baseman in the playoffs in October for the Los Angeles Dodgers against your Braves, not going to bother you.
That's when it'll bother me. Yeah.
or if you happen to see him in pinstripes or
if
something.
he's in a Pirates uniform, you don't care.
Nah.
We're in Dodger blue, we got a problem.
Then we got a problem. You know, if he's in Texas, you know.
I mean, the word is he's either going to go to L.A., New York, or Boston. So, you know.
Oh, 3 places that'll make me Earl. Okay, cool. Yeah.
People with money.
People with the money. Yeah.
Money. So then, of course, talking about money. Also, the Washington Nationals, as I mentioned a little earlier, signed a player who, he debuted in Major League Baseball before the star player of their current team was born. I believe that's correct. The Nationals.
Not that old, is he?
Yeah. Nelson Cruz debuted February 17th of 1998. Juan Soto was born October 25th of 1998.
Oh, he really is.
Oh, wow.
41 years old.
But yes, Nelson Cruz signed on obviously to be or I would think obviously to be the DH now in the National League for the Washington Nationals. We've said for a long time, we've been a spectacular DH, so it's a heck of a bat to get, Lou.
Yeah. I mean, now that we have, the universal DH, I mean, we've had, with interleague play, the National League has had DH for many years because every time you played in the American League Park, you had to, scurry up a DH, and World Series games, it's not like National League teams haven't had to use a DH for many, many years now, but now that we have as what's just called the universal DH rule, which is, to National League fans is something to get used to. I'm a little surprised you don't see more teams going out and try it. Like, these guys will all have second careers, and I'm shocked that Kyle Schwarber is still on the market. Like, I'd figure that would be, he just opened up, a world of teams to him because he's not the best fielding outfielder in the world, but he's got a big bat.
Right.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of guys whose careers just opened up a little bit more. They aren't limited to one league now. I mean, there's one rule that you didn't mention, and I thought I saw this, and I don't know if I read it correctly, but yeah, like now you play interleague games, but you have a division you play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all 3 of our teams, Marlins, Nationals, and Braves, all play in the same division. So like this year we play the AL West. So we mostly we're going to play the Mariners and the A's and the Angels and we'll play 2 of those teams will play at home and 2 of them will play on the road, and then we have our our rivalry series. So for the Nationals, it's the Orioles. I think the Braves, it's the Red Sox, which is weird because I don't think they can match anybody up with them. I don't even know who the Marlins rivalry is. Is it the Rays?
I thought it was the Rays, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Marlins, it's the Rays. That makes sense. But I thought I read that in 2023, everyone is going to play everybody. They basically are just breaking down the barrier between leagues, like in every other sport. We have conferences but the conference things are pretty much broken down, and baseball, I think, is like this last vestige of there's one league and there's another league, and they, never the two shall meet kind of thing.
So are we going to see only the top 12 teams in Major League Baseball make the playoffs?
Well, I think you're still going to have divisions and leagues, and you'll play your playoffs that way. But during the season, but it'll be at the expense of playing division games. Instead of playing that team in your division 19 times like you do now, like we play the Braves 19 times, we play the Marlins 19 times, which is, you end up playing literally 80 some of your 162 games or just inside your division. That's not going to be the case anymore.
Right.
You're only going to play like 50 or 60 games in your division, and you're going to play everybody. So like you'll play lots of interleague games. Interleague games will be all the time. Half your schedule will be interleague games.
So any other baseball moves I missed before we move on? Because
I don't think any that are that huge. I mean, there've been lots of little ones. I thought Andrew McCutchen signing in Milwaukee's kind of big. I
can't believe he's still in the league.
Still a fairly big name star. Yeah, obviously you're going to see a lot of little ones. The Twins also got Sonny Gray, who's also still a fairly big pitcher. The Twins have been active. I don't know if I agree with all the moves they're making, but they're not sitting on their hands by any means. And I think they just traded prospects to Cincinnati to get Sonny Gray.
Right. Well, all right. Well, before we move on to talk about the NFL moves, I did want to throw a congratulations out there because I don't know if you guys knew about this or not, but Oklahoma Sooners softball pitcher Jocelyn Alo was, and this was done almost poetically because she's a native Hawaiian. Oklahoma was playing in Hawaii against the University of Hawaii in softball, obviously, and in Hawaii she broke the record for Division I career home runs in softball.
Okay.
She hit her 96th home run, which broke the record while she was playing a game in Hawaii. So, congratulations, Jocelyn.
Yeah, congratulations, Jocelyn.
See, and you even got in before the NFL because I'm trying to appease Lou. So, so moving on, let's talk about again. It's kind of how they came out, to begin with. And the first thing I had was, of course, the first big thing that came up was the Chargers, who, by the way, you talk about teams trying to sign everybody or trade for everybody here, Lou. They've now made two big moves, but this was the first one where they traded with the Chicago Bears to bring defensive end Khalil Mack to the Chargers. I mean, good Lord, that's a defensive line that the Chargers got now to be scared of. But also, just today, they signed J.C. Jackson from New England last year, too. So those were two big moves the Chargers made to try to get better.
I got two words for you, fellas. Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, of course, they have Patrick Mahomes and Derek Carr already in that division, but you add Russell Wilson to that. We've already had a discussion. This is most definitely the best groupings of quarterbacks within a division in the NFL. So you do that. What do you need to do now? Make sure you have a competitive defense enough to compete against those QBs.
Then also,
that's a good point.
Absolutely. But then also, let's see, I actually skipped over that one. Apparently, D, I know you know, but Tariq Cohen was released by the Chicago Bears this past week.
Yeah, that ACL, he's still not 100%. He did jokingly ask on Twitter, how do you file for unemployment? But, yeah, I'm just more so concerned about him and his injury and whether or not he'll ever get back to being 100% healthy so that he can return as an athlete within the NFL. And if not, he will be sorely missed, of course, within us A&T alums cheering him on in the NFL. But yeah, this is big for him in terms of him hopefully either getting better or having to retire.
Well, hope the best for him, obviously.
Obviously.
And later we're going to talk about someone who turned demons into positivity, but someone else who had his demons that he fought through in one, Max Crosby of the Chargers, who obviously had a crazy good season last year, was able to sign an extension now with the Raiders, a 4-year, $95+ million. And he signed that contract, by the way, exactly 2 years to the day that he became sober. So that was kind of a cool thing.
Oh, most definitely.
So obviously, well deserved too. I mean, he helped that defense get as far as they did, and made them a playoff team.
Yeah.
Let's see. We had the Cowboys and Browns trade that sent Amari Cooper to Cleveland to play for some quarterback. We may not know who yet. It could be Baker. It may not. But Amari Cooper, we all thought he was going to be released. I thought he was going to be released. Instead, they were able to pull off a trade to at least get something and send him to Cleveland, which was a 5th-round pick and a 6th. Well, they swapped 6th-round picks, so basically got a 5th-round pick for Amari Cooper.
That's pretty darn good. People gave I saw somebody graded the Browns a C- on this trade. You give them a 5th round. All you had to do was give them a 5th-round pick for Amari Cooper, and you're getting a C.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it because you got to pick up a big contract, like a big hunk of change? Is that why you're getting this? I don't. And they gave the Cowboys an A. You lost a former Pro Bowl receiver, and then wasn't Cedric Wilson a Cowboy number 3 receiver?
Yeah, he was the slot.
He was, yeah.
And he just signed with your team, right?
Yeah, signed with Miami.
So the Cowboys' big move is to dump a pile of change on Michael Gallup, a guy who's never stayed healthy his entire career. He's been hurt 3 different times. And to put as the new number 2 behind. I mean, CeeDee Lamb's amazing. He's phenomenal, a true number 1 receiver. But now they're down to just him and Gallup, and they got Schultz. They tagged him and then let their other tight end Jarwin go. He was a cap casualty. So that their entire receiving core now is Lamb, Gallup, and Schultz, and everybody else is gone. Yeah, that's an A. That's A plus Cowboys. Love it.
And I did like that. I could say our friends at NFL Memes posted prayers for Amari Cooper. Nothing's wrong with him. He just has to play with Baker Mayfield.
You haven't seen the one with it's a meme. It's a picture of Baker and it's literally a tombstone of Amari Cooper.
So also some chump named Tom Brady's coming back.
And of course he had to upstage literally during the announcement of the brackets.
During Selection Sunday. Yeah.
At 6:04, as they're announcing the brackets, he tweeted out his return.
He was probably told by Goodell, if you're going to come back, do it now.
Well, I did hear a part of it was because obviously we know all these moves are being made, and these moves are being made because that's the way the league year works. And, a lot of these guys from Tampa needed to make a decision, which was going to start Monday, Tuesday. So that's why.
Yeah, Monday because of the tampering rule.
Yeah, the tampering rule gets lifted on Monday, and that's when you can start talking to people and basically signing them. Though I guess you don't officially sign. None of these things are official till next week,
right?
Even though we all know they're official. Yeah, so that's why he needed to maybe if he was going to make the decision, he needed to make it soon so that all the other guys in Tampa knew that, well, if I'm going to stay, either I'm going to be Kyle Trask is going to be my quarterback or Tom Brady. And there's a slight difference between the two.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, everybody said, we're going back to Tampa Bay to play now. Go figure.
Yeah,
why not?
And Fournette, all of a sudden, I think I'll stay. And
yeah.
After he put out the real nice goodbye to Tampa Bay too.
Yeah, yeah. But I have to ask real quick, who makes the better comebacks? Tom Brady, Fred Krueger, Jason Voorhees, or Chucky? I'm just saying, they just keep coming back just when you thought they were dead. Oh, Michael Myers. Yeah.
Well, my thought is Tom Brady's family just didn't want him. Look, you've been here for a month straight. We're done with you. Please get out of here. We can't stand you just like everybody else can't stand you.
Giselle was done with him. But I will, and I'm not defending Brady, but I feel like he's still a good 2 more comebacks short of Brett Favre, right? Didn't Brett retire and come back 3 times?
Well, he officially retired once. Because remember, he would hold out until that point, where he didn't have to go to camp, but he was never retired.
Oh, that was Brett's deal.
Yeah,
he just didn't want to. He just didn't want to get. But then he kept switching because he went to the Jets and then he went to the Vikings and well,
that's because the Packers didn't want to deal with him anymore. Plus, the Packers had one of the best quarterbacks of all time sitting there on the bench waiting to take over.
I don't think they actually knew that, did they?
One of the great losers of this team, right? Losers in Aaron.
Hey.
Wow.
Can't put Lou without losers.
You can't spell Lou without losers. I think you had that
Exactly.
backwards. But anyways, also let's see. And the one other point I had is, and of course everyone's talked about this, but how about spending $500,000 plus on the last touchdown Tom Brady ever threw?
518,000. It literally happened on Saturday.
Yeah,
The auction literally was Saturday, and like 24 hours later, the guy unannounces his retirement.
Yep.
Well, hey, look at it this way: if you have $500,000 to spend on sports memorabilia, it probably is not that much money to you.
Yeah, probably.
That's my thought.
Agreed.
And once again, we were talking about, all different teams, what they're doing with quarterbacks. Well, we know what the Vikings are doing because once again, good old Kirk Cousins get a big old extension. Not only a big old extension, A, they gave him a raise immediately, and B, gave him, $40 million next year and all fully guaranteed. So it's like $30 million this year, $40 million next year, 100% guaranteed to Kirk Cousins. I mean, that's $230 million in his entire career that's been fully guaranteed.
Yeah. Two things. Yeah, it does, right? But two things. One, we do understand the desire and the need to have an elite quarterback, or at least a better than average quarterback, right? Because of course we toss the word elite quarterback around like it's I'm trying to think of something nice here.
Skittles.
Yes, like Skittles. There you go, Lou. Thanks for going the super nice route on that one. So, yeah, we toss them around like Skittles, even though everyone is not elite. And that elite number is a lot smaller than what people perceive it to be. But if you can go ahead and get you at least a top 15 QB in this league, it will make you that much more competitive than most teams. And the one thing about Kirk is at least top 10 and was top 10 in the major categories this past season.
He puts up
so
stats.
The money, and it just happens to be his timing, and that comes with the understanding of, hey, if I go ahead and get shorter contracts and I play well enough, then I can keep getting more money than people would expect me to receive. But you also got to remember, this is the same dude that only wanted a lowly $19 million, which was well below the league average at the quarterback spot when he was here in Washington. And the team didn't think he was good enough, but they franchise tagged him to give him more than that. Well, but it is what it is.
And D, let's not forget about Wayne made point about Minnesota that you can't blame on Kirk. When Kirk went to Minnesota, they had an elite defense.
Yeah.
Within a year of him being in Minnesota, that defense is gone.
Yeah, they broke it completely down, yeah.
And so the defense is not that good in Minnesota. And, yeah, he puts up numbers. Obviously, we've seen a couple of the receivers break out. If they hold on to Cook, who knows, especially with this extension. But Dalvin Cook, obviously, when healthy, is one of the best running backs in the league. That offense is great run by Kirk. Well, help run by Kirk. But the defense has struggled mightily ever since he's been there, and that's not on him.
It's not. And that's the other thing, too. You bring that up in terms of Dalvin Cook and his inability to stay healthy. That's one of the other things that was a stalwart before he got there was that running game. Yeah. If Dalvin doesn't stay healthy, you trade away. He didn't get traded away. He left. Stephon Diggs, but you get lucky in the lottery and get Justin Jefferson. So and Thielen hasn't been healthy a lot in the past 2 seasons.
Right.
To play a Giselle here for Kirk. He can't throw and catch the ball by himself.
Though I'd like to see a race between him and Brady. It's probably close.
Oh, my God. How long would that 60-meter race take? Like 10 seconds? Jeez.
Let him run the football field. Let's see how really long it takes.
God, do we really want to watch that?
No, we don't. So anyways... I did have a bunch of Finn signings because obviously I've been paying attention to that. Obviously, we don't have to stick on any of them unless there's something you want to talk about. But the Finns signed Chase Edmonds, the running back from Arizona, to add to the running back core.
It's a nice signing.
I thought it was solid. I mean, obviously, there's been some underwhelming when it comes to Gaskins and Ahmed, where it took what's his face coming back to Miami to actually help the running back core last year. And I'm forgetting his name now, which I feel terrible. The running back that had been in Cleveland for a while, and then he ended up whatever. my mind isn't all here right now. Anyway, so they did re-sign. There was two big things going into the offseason that everybody thought was the big thing they had to do. One was keeping Mike Gesicki. Obviously, we talked about it last week. They gave the franchise tag to Mike Gesicki. The other one, whether you guys like him or not, that was to keep Emmanuel Ogbah on this team, the defensive end who for 2 years in a row has led this team in.
Which I don't dislike him. I just didn't know who he was. All I said was, "Who is he?" Like you just said, he's just written me back. He's their leading sack guy, defensive end. I would have been like, thanks.
See, I thought you were being facetious to me when you said it. Like,
oh, I just really didn't know who he was.
No, all you typed was who. So who?
I said who. You're like Dolphin sign. You didn't even say re-sign. You said Dolphin. Your text said Dolphin sign his last name.
Ogbah.
I didn't even know he was a re-sign. I thought maybe you signed him from another team.
Yeah, he's had.
So if you'd said, he was our leading sacker the last 2 years, defensive end, I would have been cool.
He's had 9 and 9.5 sacks, but he's also had 40 some odd QB pressures and whatnot. And obviously, he's what helped Jalen Phillips have such a good rookie season too. So that was a big one in a 4-year, $65 million contract. So it's decent, but it's not like crazy money. Then also surprising to me, especially with quarterback positions out there to be had, the Dolphins signed Teddy Bridgewater to be the backup to Tua, at least for now.
That's the surprising one to me from both sides. I think it kind of shows that, the leash on not playing well on Tua is shorter than you might think, right? And B, like, Teddy couldn't find a starting job somewhere?
I truthfully think that Teddy signing had more to do with people think that Tua will not make it a full season and will miss games here or there.
That might be the case.
I mean, my team is the king of signing guys because they don't think they're starting quarterback, which then leads to problems because then you have instant quarterback controversy. When they brought in Foles, it was a controversy. When they drafted Hurts, it was a controversy. And then look what happened. Wentz got sent out of town. So it does bring up problems. The good nice thing about Teddy is that he's a little on the older side, so it's not like all of a sudden you brought in another quarterback of the future.
Right.
But it is a nice in this day and age of the NFL. I mean, how many quarterbacks make it 16 games, 17 games completely healthy?
Mm-hmm.
I was more from the Teddy side of the equation.
Right.
I would have thought he could have got a starting job, or at least a place where he's going to get a chance to compete, because my thought is he doesn't. I mean, it's Tua's job, right? They've been pretty.
Oh no, it's Tua's job. That's why everything
right.
with Watson got shut down. But
see, that's the thing, though, right, Lou?
And that's the other thing. It really any even rumors left out there that they're still looking at Watson are completely quelled by this signing.
I mean, I'll say that. I'll say.
I was going to say to answer Lou's question about Taylor's. Ability to go, not Taylor, I'm sorry, Teddy, because I'm thinking about another signing of another QB that signed someplace else to be a backup too, potentially.
Right.
But yeah, with Teddy, my guess is all the organizations that had a spot that were looking for a QB all passed on him. They're either putting their chips in with someone else, or they went ahead and got somebody else.
I mean, there's 4 people bidding on Deshaun Watson. 3 of them are going to be out in the court. I mean, he can't play for 4 teams at the same time.
Right.
True, you're absolutely right about that.
And you're going to alienate some quarterbacks by doing that, as we've seen, including how's Baker going to feel if the Browns don't get him there?
Right, now obviously, if the Browns are in on it, they still got Baker. If the Falcons are in on it, they still got Matt Ryan. But obviously, Carolina, I don't think Carolina's going to go back to Teddy because they already tried that. And then with the Saints, I guess, still have Taysom Hill. And then Winston's still floating around out there, and Jimmy Garoppolo's situation is still but Colts still don't have a quarterback. We haven't gotten there yet, but I'm still flabbergasted by the funny move.
The funny part about the Colts, though, to me too, is that a lot of people think they're going to go hardcore for Jimmy G, and is Jimmy G a step up from Carson Wentz? I mean, I know he has more W's under his belt.
What's the phrase? The devil you don't know and maybe better than the devil you do. Like, you gotta. They don't know how bad or good Jimmy G is. Like, if he's not in if nobody in that organization has coached in San Francisco or been around there, maybe they don't know.
But I do agree that I thought Teddy would get a starting job somewhere. But I'll say this: is it a step up from Jacoby Brissett? Hell yeah, it is.
On your side of it, it's a great move. I mean, from the Dolphins standpoint, I think this is a tremendous move.
Yeah.
It definitely gives a solid backup that you're not as worried if and possibly when Tua goes down for a couple games or something. But
not just that.
This guy went like, didn't he go like 4-0 when he backed up when Breeze went down a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what got him the contract up north.
That's how he got the starting job with Carolina for a year, but then that blew up. And
well, that too. But I was going to say he's the type of QB that what's your new head coach name?
McDaniel.
Coach? Yeah, McDaniel's the type of the QB that he likes. A guy that's capable because he comes from that Shanahan tree, right?
Right.
So he's going to look for a guy that's going to be willing to scramble out of the pocket.
Well, and that's why he likes Tua, at least to this point, because as long as Tua keeps that mobility, plus Tua getting rid of the ball quick, which was a big thing last year. Obviously, like we said, he should try to improve on that deep ball a little bit. And I think they're going to try that a little more this year, possibly because of the next signing, which we had mentioned from Dallas, Cedric Wilson. Obviously, a big-time slot receiver. Kind of, at least to me, makes all signs point to Jalen Waddle isn't going to be playing the slot anymore. And he's easily going to become the 1 or 2, and you're going to see him running some more deep routes. But Cedric Wilson, I thought, was a solid signing. But, again, they're not going out and spending crazy money. Not yet, anyways. We'll see what happens. They had a ton of free agency money going into it. And like you said, free agency not technically going on yet. It's unofficial free agency. Then also the Dolphins are signing Connor Williams, the guard from the Dallas Cowboys. Well, he played tackle for Dallas and was kind of underwhelming. I think last year he played well, but he hasn't been able to stay on the field as much. Regardless, it's depth at a place where the Dolphins badly need depth. So it was fine. It wasn't anything crazy, though. But anyways, hey, let's talk about the other team in Florida doing some crazy shit. That's right. I cursed because it is. Okay, first of all, they brought in Christian Kirk. And not only did they bring in Christian Kirk, who I'd like you to tell me how many yards he had, but Christian Kirk is now the 9th highest paid receiver in the entire league, because the Jacksonville Jaguars bring him in and paid him a whole lot of money, which I thought I had right here. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. A 4-year deal that's worth up to, granted that means it's not all guaranteed, but up to $84 million to have Christian Kirk, who at least I believe is a number 2 receiver at best, come to Jacksonville. Which, by the way, put Jacksonville in a little bit of issue with financial reasons, and this is why I was so adamant on that they had to let their leading tackler leave the team. A guy who had over 100 tackles in the last 2 seasons in linebacker Miles Jack being released from the Jaguars, partially due to the spending that the Jaguars have done. So how about that?
Well, they spent that big money on well, it's funny that you said shit in number 2 in the same sentence, but I digress. But the receiver, and then, of course, they spent a ton of money to bring in Brandon Sheriff, the former Washington All-Pro, to come in to protect Sunshine as well. But it's going to be interesting because it seems like they're putting all of their chips in on this offense to be extremely dynamic.
Yeah, then they also signed Evan Ingram, the tight end formerly now of the New York Giants.
Yeah,
and the Jaguars they're not holding back. I'm not sure they're making the right moves, but they're making moves.
Where's the D?
Yeah, no D, but and then because I thought they signed another receiver, because DJ Sharp signed with the Lions, the guy who was.
Oh wow!
I don't know if he was their number 1 last year, but he is no longer a Jaguar. He is a Detroit Lion.
Well, Chark has had injury issues, but when healthy, he was really good.
He was really good.
Well, if you want to have injuries and play in the league, right, you go to Detroit.
And then, let's see. I know there's a couple others that I don't have on here, too, but prior to when I was making this all out, the 49ers signed Travarius Ward to a 3-year deal, the cornerback from Kansas City.
Okay.
So, to help out their defense a little bit. Obviously, Lou, you already mentioned Randy Gregory. Literally, not only spurned him, but he also appeared to taunt the Cowboys. Maybe he'll get a 10-yard penalty for it, but he taunted the Cowboys after leaving and heading up to Denver, which ends up being a big signing for Denver. Then also, yes.
It does, because it helps out that defense that was ranked third in the league last year.
Right. And then also, I guess the Steelers found their quarterback.
Which one?
Mitch Trubisky is coming in to be the starting quarterback for Pittsburgh. Yay.
I mean, this is my only. I did see one like comparison to this situation, which I'm not buying, but I'm going to throw it out there because somebody else made a comparison. Like, top 10 pick, played for a team that didn't have much success, and he got sent on his way to be a backup. And now in that other situation, he supplanted the starter in that next city, and now is a starter for a team that's very successful, and that's Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill was a top 10 pick, just like Trubisky. Did not have much success in Miami, correct, Coach?
Correct.
Went to Tennessee to back up Mariota and then became the starter, and so Trubisky, with one season backing up Josh Allen, obviously had no chance of really supplanting him, but got like rave reviews from people when he was there as still having a lot of talent. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you just wonder, do talent evaluators miss that badly? This guy got drafted in the top 10. And I know most people think the Bears picked him too high, but he was still going to go really high in that draft. Can he resurrect things? Or the other side of it is Pittsburgh really finally, going to have a losing season so that they can draft a good quarterback next year? And in that respect, this guy's he's a low risk, low cost. He's not going to cost them that much.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not like if you went and got Jimmy G, you'd have to give up draft picks and probably have to pay him a lot of money. You didn't have to give up any draft picks for this guy because he's a free agent, and I don't think they signed him. They only signed him for like $14 million. So I don't know. Just thought. I was flabbergasted because most people think before Brady came back, people thought like Tampa, Indy, and Pittsburgh are the teams that are ready made. All they need is a quarterback, and they got other pieces in place on offense and great defenses, and they could win. And this is what they get is Trubisky, but who knows? He could be the next Tannehill.
He could be, because you got to remember, this is the same Mitch Trubisky that led the Bears team to the playoffs.
Yeah, his first year he was pretty good, but
yeah,
that was also
a similar formula.
Bears team built on running and defense. Well, what's Pittsburgh built on? They got Najee Harris. They got a really nice receiving core, even if they lose Juju to free agency. They still got Deontay Johnson. They still got Chase Claypool. They got, who was the rookie tight end they had last year? Fairmouth,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, their line is pretty porous, the offensive line. Right. But obviously a spectacular, top 5 defense. Yeah.
Well, I know we got to move on here some too. I will mention Tyrod Taylor signed by the Giants. Backup, starter. I don't know.
Backup. Stop playing. He's backup.
But I think it's the same situation with Miami. You got a quarterback who's got a short lease in Daniel Jones, probably even much shorter than Tua's is, and has had injury history. So you need to have somebody that can, it's a smart move. It kind of scares me. I'm used to the Giants making stupid moves. I like when the Giants make stupid moves.
You and me both, Lou.
Yeah.
So just a couple things before we get to the last bit here. So also an interesting quarterback situation to a backup quarterback. I know you all know Chase Daniel, been a backup now for quite a long time in the NFL. He did get a couple years there to try to start. But if Chase Daniel plays this season but doesn't actually throw a pass in any game, he will have made roughly $150,000 per pass attempt in his career.
Hey.
Good if you can get it, right?
Of course.
It's a golden arm right there. Also, something that gets overlooked a little bit, but Yeshiva University, I kind of mentioned them weeks ago about having the longest win streak. They're the D3 school. in all of college basketball, but they are attempting to have the first ever Orthodox Jewish player make it to the NBA, and their star player Ryan Terrell, who plays there, and he's on the list. He could be getting drafted. The only thing is, I'm curious if he gets drafted. He is Orthodox Jewish. Does that mean he's not going to play on the Sabbath? I'm curious.
That's a wonderful question, Coach.
Because I know that was something always with Sandy Koufax, right, Lou?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it'd be interesting. But, yeah, so he'd be the first Orthodox Jewish NBAer ever if they draft him in the next draft. So, sadly, I have 3 RIPs for you tonight. And, again, going in order of when they happened. This was last Wednesday. The first black NFL referee ever, Johnny Greer, passed away at 74. He was the first ever, as I said, in the NFL, and was extremely well respected, and also was the supervisor of officials for the MEAC conference.
Yeah.
Before he went on to leave that and be before he left for the NFL and left the field. But Johnny Greer passing away. Also, ex-Major League Baseball pitcher Odalis Perez passed away Thursday night. All they have is that he appeared to fall from a ladder while he was alone at his house.
Oh, my God. Wow.
So they don't know the exact cause, if that's what it was or for sure, but he was only 44 and passed away last Thursday. Then, of course, D, the other one, hit big to the wrestling world when you may know him as Razor Ramon, the bad guy, Scott Hall, passed away. And his story is so interesting just because, he had major demons, as every wrestling fan knows, mostly with alcohol, but I'm sure there was other stuff involved as well. But thanks to, of all other people, Diamond Dallas Page, as we know, who's done some great things post wrestling, took him under his wing in DDP yoga and what he does, and was able to get Scott back to being in a sober place, and he'd been sober for quite a while and in a better place. And this one happened just because he was having hip surgery and something went wrong, and then he was pretty much quickly after put on life support until they pulled it Monday. And Scott Hall passed away.
Yeah, fortunately at the age of 63. And that was one of the things that you did say there, Coach, was that's something that we probably would have expected a few years ago.
Right.
Well, many years ago was that, his demons would have caught up with him and led to his demise. But it was a routine surgery on his hip that led to a blood clot that traveled and led to him being placed on life support and subsequently being removed and passing away. The St. Mary's County native, that's right, he's from Southern Maryland, want to go ahead and shout that out too. But oddly enough, strange fact here, fellas, he won his very first title on my 18th birthday. So shout out to the outsider. That's why I'm wearing all the chains and jewelry tonight in honor of Scott Hall.
Where's your toothpick?
If I had one, I would have had one.
But yeah, and obviously the most iconic was after the first, even though there had been once before, the first claimed ladder match between him and Shawn Michaels, which kind of just broke all sorts of, just broke it in to be normality. But they put on such a show in the iconic him standing with both belts on top of the ladder, which I remember the whole story that it was actually Shawn Michaels that told him to do that. And because actually he fell off the ladder after getting the belt, and Shawn actually said to him, I guess when Shawn was on the mat, because the crowd was going nuts and they have their tells, basically he should get up there and do it, and he did. And it's an iconic pose that anyone that's followed it knows. But yeah, I mean, huge shock to anybody that grew up watching wrestling as we did, for him to pass away, especially like this. I mean, obviously everyone that knows his story knows those demons and knows how bad he was for a while. And a lot of people thought we weren't going to have him much longer. But we did. And, obviously from his Hall of Fame, I know I posted it on our site, but I know a lot of people have quoted it, but I just love it. The hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
Yeah, two-time Hall of Famer. If not for him and Kevin Nash moving over to WCW, I don't know what professional wrestling would be right now.
Yeah, that started the whole Monday Night Wars, which made everything just completely blow up.
But like you said, with WrestleMania 10, that was the WrestleMania where they had the ladder match.
Mm-hmm.
That's another, like you said, actually his first iconic match of his career. But I would say he was probably the most influential wrestler to never win a world championship.
Almost definitely.
Yeah.
So, hey, yo, it's time for the 500.
Before we move on, 3 things real quick. Number 1, is the number 1336. Does that stand out to you guys? The number 1336.
Nope.
What about you, Coach?
Nothing.
All right, well, it should, because last week, Greg Popovich, head coach of the San Antonio Spurs, who spent his entire career with the Spurs, won his 1336 game, or 1,336 career game as a head coach, thus setting the record for most wins in NBA history by a head coach. So that happened last week. Also, on Saturday, we've talked about this several times during the season, but now that season ended this past weekend, North Carolina A&T finished as national runner-ups in the Outdoor Track and Field Championships. So congratulations to them, even though they are completely disappointed in that second overall finish, because they felt that they could have come in first with their best event as the final event of the day, and they were 3 points away from winning a national championship. So I know that they have big thoughts moving on to the outdoor season and hopefully winning it all in the outdoor season. And then last but not least, it seems as though that Jackson State is looking to collect as many former pro athletes as head coaches in their athletics department as possible. One, Mo Williams, most notably known for his playing career with the Cleveland Cavaliers and with LeBron James, who was actually just recently with Alabama State, resigned from his post there at the end of the season to take the head coaching reins there at Jackson State.
So I was trying to get a nice tribute. Well, there you go. So once again, hey, yo, it's time for the Sleaze of the Week.
Yeah, I don't think I have one. I was looking on our site. We haven't posted anything this week. So I was thinking, D, you said you had something, right?
Yes. Paternity suits out here in these streets. Remember just, I think it was last week, or was it the week before last? Actually, it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. We talked about the Dallas Cowboys and the allegations of one of their staffers going around taking upskirted photos of cheerleaders.
Yep.
Well, it seems like the sex train continues to move on there in AT&T Stadium. Seems as though that infidelity is not new as it pertains to one Jerry Jones. It came out. Actually,
I saw that.
9th.
This woman is suing Jerry because she says he's her dad.
Yeah. Woman sues Jerry Jones, alleges Dallas Cowboy owner paid her mother to conceal that he was her biological father. 25-year-old woman, billionaire, and wow, it says she was born in 1996 to conceal that he was the girl's biological father, a secret that the lawsuit says she has carried her entire life.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Jerry's our sleaze nominee.
That is an interesting nominee there.
Yeah, the only one I was thinking about was I haven't followed it closely enough, but like the Nets have now been fined for allowing Kyrie in the locker room.
Yeah.
Because of the vaccination mandate, but then there was also talk that they're going to like let him start playing home games anyways, like. And then I know KD went after the new mayor of New York City. Again, I think the problem is I don't care enough to follow the story.
And Kyrie also went to a game the other night, maskless. He bought a ticket and went to the game.
It's that game. It's that exact same game.
Well, that's the thing. Like, there's not a. I think they've lifted the mandate for having to show a vaccination card. Like, like it used to be like to go to a restaurant in some cities. Here in DC, they had it for a short period of time, and then they lifted it. And for like big events, like a concert, you would have to literally every single person at the door had to show their, proof of vaccination. Well, I thought for a time in New York City to go to a sporting event, you had to show something at the door, but I think they lifted that.
Yeah.
Which is why Kyrie was allowed to go to the game, like buy a ticket like any other schmo, and go to the game. But the players are still required to be vaccinated, which I think is what KD's problem is. Like, everybody in those stands up there can not be vaccinated, but we on the court have to be.
Well, not completely. The players that play in New York have to be. That was one of the.
That's right. A visiting player doesn't have to be if they're local. Like if in Wisconsin they don't have any mandate, so if the Bucks can't come to play, a Bucks player can be unvaccinated and play in New York. Yeah, I mean it is. I mean, obviously, I think everybody should be vaccinated, but I'm becoming more and more in the minority in this country. But I will say, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense that if you got different rules for different people based on things that don't make any sense. I mean, either the NBA needs to step in and just make rules for all the players and stop pushing it off on the localities.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well. Oh,
so who's the make a sleaze somewhere? I don't know if Kyrie's the sleazy one, the Nets are the sleazy one, if the mayor of New York is the sleazy one, or what here?
John, you said the Nets, the NBA fined the Nets, right?
Yeah, they fined the Nets like $50,000 because I guess after he bought the ticket to the game, I mean he's Kyrie Irving, the security people let him go into the locker room after the game and see his teammates.
Oh my God, I almost want to give it to the mayor of New York and to the NBA for that. Then I want to go and give two.
I'm also giving
Jerry.
I'm also giving it to Jerry too, but.
So we won't give.
But that's probably still alleged. I mean, I know we don't give out things without proof because. Does this woman have a DNA test or anything yet, or?
Not that I know of, which makes it that much funnier. I'm going to give them to him just for being suspect.
Yeah. We can give it to the NBA and the mayor of New York. I'm fine with that.
All right.
Wow, yeah, because they said that the Texas judge ordered the case sealed this week after a motion filed by Jerry's lawyer.
Sure.
Okay, well, there you go. So let's get to our 10 picks. I know we still have to go through the bracket, and we
started late.
We started late,
but yeah.
And there was plenty to talk about. So our 10 picks from last week. We, of course, did the conference championship games. As I mentioned, our percentages always go down at that point, which I'll get to very momentarily. First, we had the A10, in which Richmond, the Spiders, won. They were the 6th seed. None of us had them. However, D-Nash did have Davidson, who lost in the final, so he got that one. I had Dayton, who lost in the semis to Richmond, and Lou had VCU, who lost in the quarters to Richmond. So Richmond just destroyed all of our teams, which is funny because it happened that way in the first 2 picks that we did. But so D got that one. So the second one was the ACC tournament, which number 7 seeded Virginia Tech won. Of course, none of us had that. Duke lost the final, so again, losing the final. D-Nash had Duke, who lost to Virginia Tech. Lou had North Carolina, who lost in the semis to Virginia Tech. I had Notre Dame, who lost in the quarters to Virginia Tech. I kind of wished all of them went that way because that was great. But anyway, so then we had the Big 12 tournament, which Kansas did win. They were the 1 seed. D got that correct. Texas Tech lost the final. Lou had them as a 3 seed. I had Baylor, who was the 2 seed, who lost in the quarters to Oklahoma. Then you have the Big East tournament where Villanova is the 2 seed won. D-Nash once again getting this one correct. Providence, who I had, lost in the semis, and number 4, Creighton, lost the finals to Villanova. So Lou and D were fighting there for that one, and D got another one.
I lost several finals.
Yep. Several. 1, 2, 3, 4. So then for a 5th straight here for D, we had the Big Ten tournament, which number 5 seeded Iowa, the Hawkeyes, won. D had the team that lost the final. So 3 in a row he had who won it or who lost the final. And Purdue lost the final, so D got that one. I had Wisconsin, who lost all the way back in the quarters to Michigan State. And Lou had Illinois, who lost in the quarters to Indiana. So we both lost in the quarters, and Purdue lost in the final. D got that one. Then we had the Conference USA tournament, which number 2 in the West seeded UAB. The Blazers won it all, who I had picked. You both had the 1 seeds, Middle Tennessee for D, who lost in the semis to UAB, and Lou had North Texas, who lost in the semis to Louisiana Tech. So I got that one. Then we had the MAC to get ourselves a little action, and I said I wanted to see the Kangaroo in the tournament, and what do you know? Number 4, Akron, the Zips, win it. I had the number 4 seeded Akron Zips winning it. They did, so I got that one correct. They beat Kent State, who Lou had in the final. The Golden Flashes lost.
That could have been a SLZE nominee. Did you hear that little story?
No, what happened?
Four Kent State players got suspended for the first half of the conference final because after they won their semifinal, they made a TikTok video and posted it where they badmouthed Akron and used a lot of profanity, and about Akron.
Wow.
They must have played in the second semifinal, so they knew who they were playing once they won. And they, in the locker room, we're going to kick their, F them, blah, blah, blah. But then they posted it to social media, and, somebody showed it to the, powers that be, and they're like, yeah, they suspended 4 players for the whole half of that game. I don't know if that's why they lost to Akron, but yeah.
Well, there you go. So,
kids these days.
Then we had the Mountain West, where number 1 seeded Boise State won their first ever Mountain West Conference tournament for college basketball. I had Boise, and they won. D had number 2 seeded Colorado State, who lost in the semis. Wyoming, who Lou had, was number 4. They also lost in semis to Boise State. And then to give me my 4th pick in a row, we had the Pac-12 tournament, who I took the 1 seed Arizona Wildcats, who did win. UCLA was the 2 seed. Lou had them, and they lost in the finals. Number 3, USC, lost in the semis to UCLA, which is who D Nash had picked. Then we had the WAC conference tournament. This one, the 1 seeded New Mexico State won, which Lou had. So then, let's see. I had Seattle University, who lost in the semis, to Abilene Christian. And you got to like this, because in the quarters, Stephen F. Austin for D Nash lost to Abilene Christian. So apparently we were not big fans of Abilene Christian. But New Mexico State wins it for Lou. So anyone following at home there, D Nash had 5, I had 4, Lou had 1. But our tiebreaker anyway was the SEC tournament. The SEC tournament saw number 2, the Tennessee Volunteers, winning it all. None of us picked them. Lou had the Arkansas Razorbacks, who lost in the semis to Texas A&M. D Nash had the Kentucky Wildcats, who lost in the semis to Tennessee. And I had Auburn, the 1 seed, who lost in the quarters to Texas A&M. You both had the semis, but by our rule, Lou got it correct because he had the lower seed go out in the same round. And so he had his second tiebreaker correct on the season, but with only having 1 pick correct, I don't think it really helped out all that much this week.
So I actually feel like neither of your percentages went down that far, getting 4 and 5 right.
Mine went down a little bit. I think both went down a little bit, but not too bad.
4 and 6 and 5 and 5 still,
Yes, compared to 1 and 9 is
1 and 9 sucks.
So so
I can help you guys out
on the season now. I'm at 55 and 55 at 50% even. D Nash is at 58 and 52, so he's sitting at 52.7%. Lou, you are at 53 and 57, so 48.2%. And now on the season 2, though, D Nash getting 2 points. I got 1. Lou got -1. I have 9 overall to D Nash's 8 to Lou's 3 as of right now. So we're going to go to our picks for tonight. And as Lou brought up to me before the show, I obviously did not sleep well because I had put in 4 games that were all happening tonight on this list. The second 2 we're going to pick because they don't start till 11 o'clock tonight. So this is going to be the quickest turnaround for any of our picks ever. We're going to get to those in just a minute because I'm just substituting straight up at the moment. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the 2 first 4 games that are happening tomorrow. The second first 4 games of the actual tournament itself. So first, we're going to go ahead and pick the Wright State versus Bryant. Of course, these games are all happening in Dayton, as the first 4 tends to do. D. Nash, you won last week, so Bryant versus Wright State.
Yeah, let me go ahead and shout out the SWACs, Texas Southern, for winning their first 4 matchup earlier tonight.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go ahead and take Wright State.
Lou.
I feel like we picked like that Bryant Wagner so many times now. I feel like I'm all about the Bryant Bulldogs now.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with Lou here. I like Bryant to take this one in the 16-seeded matchup.
It is apropos that I am the Wolf Pack in this one.
Wolf Pack is back, Jack. So then the second pick is the Rutgers Notre Dame game. The other 2, it was the 2 11 seeds are the other first 4 game that gets the 11 seed. Lou, Rutgers versus Notre Dame.
So these are both former Big East, brethren of my Syracuse Orange. I guess Notre Dame is now an ACC brethren. But the folks I go visit for the weekend to watch the March Madness with, the one guy is a Rutgers alum as an undergrad, so I'm going to go with my good friend Paul's team and go with the Scarlet Knights.
I'm going the flip side. Give me the ACC brethren. Give me Notre Dame. Give me the Fighting Irish. D?
Well, Coach, you're about to be the lone wolf in this one. I'm going to go ahead and take the Scarlet Knights.
Oh. All right, so before these games start, let's go ahead and get to them. I had put in our NIT matchups, the 4s versus the 5s. So the 2 that'll be a little later tonight is number 5 St. Bonaventure Bonnies and the number 4 Colorado Buffaloes. Tuesday night tonight, 11 p.m. at the CU Event Center in Boulder, Colorado. I know it's in Colorado, but you know what? These teams usually tend to see a lot of upsets in the NIT. Plus, I like the Bonnies, so give me St. Bonaventure. D?
St. Bonnies.
Lou?
Wow. I was all happy to pick Colorado, and I'm kind of happy to be on a Colorado island.
There you go. So the other matchup, you got the number 5 Santa Clara Broncos traveling to the number 4 Washington State Cougars. Also at 11 p.m. This one's at Field Court at Beasley Coliseum in Pullman. D.
Cougars.
Lou.
This is a good one. I was torn on this one. Let me go. Yeah, let me go out to. Is that they're in Pullman, Washington? I thought they were in Spokane. Whatever. I'll go with D on this one.
Well, I think for the first time in quite a few weeks, we're gonna have our first unanimous pick.
Okay.
Which we're sitting at 12-6 on unanimous picks so far. So I'm taking Washington State as well. All right, so then we're going to our NCAA women's bracket for the first 4 from the women's bracket. And so let's see. Lou, you're going to get to start this one. The first one is for a 16 seed, the Incarnate Word Cardinals versus the Howard Bison. Wednesday, 7 p.m. at Colonial Life Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. These games, unlike where all the men's first 4 gets played in Dayton, these are played at the sites where these tournaments are going to actually happen.
Yeah, and we got a couple nice matchups here, though. I think this one you might get a unanimous because I'm going Howard.
Oh, wow.
I'm rolling with Howard too.
Well, there you go. First time winning their tournament in 20 years. I mean, partially know the reason why to that, Aggie pride. But, we're no longer in the conference anymore. That's what happens. It's the same. But, yeah, I'm taking Howard. This is the first year they're doing the round of 68 for women, right?
Yeah, this is the first time they expanded the field. It was
Right.
64 for many, many, many years, and then they decided to finally expand it. And this is all part of the equality. All came from that woman tweeting that picture of those 4 barbells, man.
Yep.
Well, that and they get to finally use the moniker of March Madness for the women.
Yep, it's the first time they used March Madness. It's the first time they did the selection show on Sunday night, the same night as the men. They do stagger the tournament. They stagger the days. I mean, obviously you'll see because they don't do their first 4 till Wednesday and Thursday.
Right.
So the days are staggered, but because they used to do their selection on Monday, they're trying to make it much more equal, and they have a first 4 for the first time.
Speaking of which,
messes me up.
our 6th pick of the week, you got the DePaul Blue. This is for the 11 seed. The DePaul Blue Demons versus the Dayton Flyers. Wednesday, 9 p.m. at the James H. Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa. I tended to like them during the regular season when we picked the men's side of Dayton. They also had a great season here. Give me the Flyers. Give me Dayton. D.
DEPAUL. 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 Viva DePaul.
Lou.
What movie is that from, fellas? Or is that kind of borrowed from?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, it's a remix on Nepal from, of course, The Golden Child.
Oh,
Lou, it's all open for you here.
Eddie Murphy.
Oh yes, Viva Nepal.
Oh, we're gonna leave you on a Golden Child Island there, D. So I'm going with the Flyers. I'm taking a flyer on the Flyers.
All right.
All right, so our 7th pick is the other 16 seed, Mount St. Mary's Mountaineers versus the Longwood Lancers, Thursday, 7 p.m. at Reynolds Coliseum in Raleigh, North Carolina. D.
Wow. Yeah, I really thought that this was the men's, not the women's team. So
Longwood is one of like 24 schools to get both their teams in the tournament.
Nice.
I know that.
Yeah, they're only, I think, maybe 22. Might be only 22 schools got both men's and women's, and Longwood is one of them.
Yeah, so I'm taking Longwood, taking the Lancers.
Lou.
I'm just very agreeable today. I'm going Longwood as well.
All right, give me the Mount.
That is just up the road.
That is Mount St. Mary's, right? The Mount.
Yeah, that's what they call it, the Mount.
All right.
Yeah, if you drive like towards, well, not that you drive me. If you go to Frederick, Maryland, and then drive north a little ways, if you're going towards Pennsylvania, you go right through Mount St. Mary's.
So the other pick is the 8th pick and last of the first 4 of the women's college basketball tournament. For the 11th seed, you got the Florida State Seminoles versus the Missouri State Lady Bears. Thursday, 9 p.m. at the Pete Maravich Assembly Center in Baton Rouge. Lou.
Well, I think I know where Coach is going on this one. No, I've picked every home team in this women's bracket because women are chalky. So I don't think these are home and away. Give me Missouri State.
Well, Lou, the women's bracket becomes chalky when you get to those higher seeds. Yeah, I mean, I'll take the Lady Seminoles. I truthfully didn't think how they were playing earlier on that they were even going to make the tournament. They were not having a very good season for a team that perennially makes the tournament. But I'm glad they're there, even if it is the first 4. Hopefully they win this and move on. Give me the Noles. D?
Coach is in the corner, taking Missouri State.
All right, then we got 2 NBA games this week. We're going to start with the Chicago Bulls at the Utah Jazz, Wednesday, 9 p.m. at Vivint Arena in Salt Lake City. I'll make it short and sweet. Give me the home team. Give me the Jazz. D?
Taking the Jazz.
Lou?
Okay, I'll take the Bulls.
All right, and then our 10th pick. Sorry, hit a wrong button. All right, so the Dallas Mavericks at the Philadelphia 76ers, Friday, 7 p.m. at the Wells Fargo Center.
You said that's Dallas and who?
At the Sixers. Mavericks at Sixers.
Dallas.
All right, Lou?
Uh, Sixers just lost. Give me the Sixers. Get the bounce back.
Yeah, I don't know. The Sixers are definitely Jekyll and Hyde.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with D here. Give me the Mavericks. Which means, Lou, you're going to get to start off the tiebreaker for the week, which is going to come from NASCAR when we pick the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 this Sunday, 3 p.m. at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Give me Chase Elliott.
I'll take Kevin Harvick.
Wow. So, Coach, you took my number one choice, which leaves me three other options that I have. Mark Truex Jr., who has never won, but has the most top 10 and top 5 finishes in the last 10 races of any racer. But I'm not going to take him. I'm going to take my number 2 choice and Brad Keselowski. Could have took Kyle Busch. I always take a Busch. Go ahead and take it.
Well, there you go. Those are our 10 picks for the week. So let's go ahead and move to our brackets, which I do have the different sections of the bracket that I can put on the screen as we're talking about it. Let's go ahead and move on to the bracket. Obviously, we don't really talk usually about the first 4 all that much because when you're picking these brackets, it's not usually what happens. So as was said, we already saw Texas Southern beat Texas A&M Corpus Christi and take that 16 seed into the tournament. We picked the other 2 already tonight. Wyoming, Indiana is going on.
Yeah, it's 1-point game in the second half.
There you go. We will start, as we always do, up there, as you see on your screen, in the Western region. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how we want to do this. How about we'll go round by round, but we're going to stay in the East, and I'll try to start with someone different every time. So, Lou, why don't you tell us what you like for these first-round matchups in the West?
Pick the 8 games in the West. Well, I think we all, 116. Nobody expects a huge upset. So Gonzaga, they're the overall number 1. They've been in the final game 2 of the last 4 years. They restocked. They have one of the best freshmen in the country and 7'1" beanpole Chet Holmgren. They're winning this first game. The 8-9, that's a great matchup. Boise versus Memphis. Definitely a contrast in styles. Memphis definitely likes to get a little more up-tempo. Boise's a slow-down team, but I'm gonna go with the Mountain West team. I'm going to go with Boise. UConn, New Mexico State, it's a 5-12. I know people like picking 5-12s. Not sure if I'm picking any 5-12 upsets this year. Maybe one, but UConn really looks like they got a nice team this year. Danny Hurley's got his team playing well. And Arkansas, Vermont. I know this is a kind of a sexy upset pick. I got to tell you, before this started, I had 4 teams in mind that I was thinking these are my final 4 teams, and they weren't all number 1s. And one of them was Arkansas. I liked Gonzaga in the Final Four. I liked Arkansas. I liked Kentucky, and I liked Texas Tech. And then they ended up putting 3 of them in the same stupid region. So I'm definitely taking Arkansas to win a game or 2, but I'm not sure if they can get past Gonzaga. Alabama against the winner of tomorrow night's playing game. It seems like every year we see the winner of one of these playing games win. I like if Rutgers wins, I like them beating Alabama. They're really tournament tough, as you guys did the bubble watch with them. They have a lot of quad 1 games they've played, a lot of quad 1 games they won. They had some bad losses, but most of their bad losses were early in the season. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to have Rutgers pulling an upset. So I put the 11 in there, but we'll see if they win tomorrow. Again, I said Texas Tech is a team. They're really tough team, a lot of veterans on their team. So I like them getting through pretty easy. Davidson, I think, is wildly underseeded. I know they lost their tournament final by 2 points to a Richmond team that was playing for their lives. If Richmond had lost that A-10 final, they would not have been in the tournament at all. I think Davidson probably could have been in an 8-9 game, if not on the other side of a 7-10 matchup. Michigan State's kind of limped into this tournament. I know it's Izzo. I know people are dying to see an Izzo-Krzyzewski matchup, but I think it's going to get spoiled. And, yeah, as much as I would like to dream the dream that Coach K goes out in a 15-2 upset glory, that's already happened once in his career when Duke lost to Lehigh in 2012. I don't see it happening twice, so I got Duke winning there.
You took Davidson?
Davidson over Michigan State, yes.
Okay. All right. D, how about your first round in the West?
All right, I have no analyzation, no analytics here. I'm just going to go ahead and name teams. Gonzaga, Memphis, UConn, Arkansas, Alabama, Texas Tech, Davidson,
Nice.
Duke.
All right. Well, for me, I have the Zags obviously winning the 116-2. I don't think that's overall too much of a question. Boise, Memphis, I like. Boise hasn't been in the tournament in a bit. Memphis seems to be there most of the time. I mean, I think this is a good matchup. I'm actually going to take Memphis as the 9 seed. The 9 seed to beat Boise. Then UConn, New Mexico State, I agree with Lou. I do have some 12s. This is not one of them, though. I think UConn's pretty strong. I'm going to have them moving on. Arkansas, Vermont, I have Arkansas winning that one. I think the Catamounts are going to keep it closer than people think, but I like Arkansas this year. In Alabama versus whoever the 11 seed is, I'm agreeing with you, Lou, but I'm saying whoever the 11 seed is. I have Rutgers or Notre Dame beating Alabama. Early in the season, Alabama looked real strong. They kind of fell off a little bit. So I think there's a chance. And I think Rutgers, as you mentioned when we were picking, Lou, had a strong season, especially down the end. Notre Dame overall is at least a solidly decent team. So I'm going to have them beat Alabama. I have Texas Tech knocking off Montana State. I'm going against you guys. I am taking Izzo and taking Michigan State to beat Davidson and Duke to beat Cal State Fullerton. So we're going and we're rotating. D, from the West, who's going into the Sweet 16?
From the West, my Sweet 16 will be Gonzaga, Arkansas, Texas Tech, and the Blue Devils.
And Duke. All right. For me, I have Zags winning also. Obviously, Gonzaga very strong this year. For the next matchup, you got 5 UConn versus 4 Arkansas. Already mentioned, I think UConn's really strong. The SEC is just ridiculously deep this year, too, with teams, but I think UConn knocks off Arkansas. I'm going to have UConn move on to the Sweet 16. Then we have the Rutgers or Notre Dame taking on Texas Tech. As good a season they've had and how good Texas Tech is, Lou, I have the number 11 seed winning this game and moving into the Sweet 16. And then you have Duke, Michigan State. You said the matchup people want to say. See, look, I don't think Duke is going to have even though they're a 2 seed, a miracle run. I don't think they're going to go the whole way. But I do think they, in a really good game, knock off Michigan State and move into the Sweet 16. So the Duke Blue Devils. Lou.
Yeah, I'm pretty chalky to Gonzaga. I like Arkansas. I just think it's one of the best defenses in the country. And it's also not a bad offense, so I got Arkansas getting by UConn, but that might be the best second round game in the whole tournament. UConn, Arkansas. Again, I like Texas Tech, and Duke should not take Davidson lightly. I'm trying to remember who Davidson beat a Power 5 team early in the season. It's a veteran team, as I mentioned.
Is Steph Curry playing?
No, but they have a big man. They have a big man. They have a 6'10" guy named Luka Brakovic, who was the big A10 player of the year. And they have a veteran coach. His name's Bob McKillop, who's been around forever and a day. So it's not like he ain't gonna get out coached by Coach K. Let me tell you. But I will reluctantly put Duke in there into the Sweet 16. But I would not be surprised if Davidson, pulls 2 upsets and beats two, legends of the game in Izzo and Kay 2 weeks in a row, and it would not be he's been around forever, Bob McCullough. So it's pretty chalky.
Those are
1, 2, 3, 4.
Those are the Sweet 16. So then moving to the Elite 8 for the West starts with me. Again, I like UConn a lot. I don't think they're going to be enough to beat Gonzaga, though, and this is where it gets a little chalky, at least in this bracket for me. I think the next bracket's where I have a little bit more fun. But the Zags knock off UConn, moving into the Elite 8. On the flip side, again, I have the 11 seed making that run going against Duke. I think that'll help Duke, even though, again, I think both teams are strong. And I'll have the 1-2 Zags versus Duke in the Elite 8. Where were we with this? Lou? Yeah, Lou.
Yep. As much as I like Arkansas, that combination with Holmgren and Timmy in the front, I think it's just going to be too much. Arkansas's got a good defense. I don't think they score enough to beat the Zags. So the Zags move into the Elite 8. And Texas Tech is the number one team in the country in defense efficiency. And those were the type of teams, Duke's lost to Virginia Tech. They lost to Miami this year. The games they've lost have been the teams that really can shut them down. And as talented as Duke is, they got 5 first-round picks. They're all either freshmen or sophomores, all those guys that are going to go in the first round. So it's a lot to ask of guys that young. This is what happens when you convert your team into one-and-done you. So give me Texas Tech Gonzaga in the Elite 8 in the West.
And D.
I have the same thing, Lou. Texas Tech and Gonzaga, Elite 8.
All right, so Lou, the last part of the West. Who's your Final Four team?
I got the Zags.
Yeah,
it should be D actually, but it's all right. Only one name to say.
No, this is you.
Gonzaga.
Lou, this is you. I had it right.
Oh, is this me? Yeah, I got Gonzaga. I think Mark Few's put together literally the best program in the country.
D?
The fact that they got the number one recruit in the country. They call this kid a unicorn because he's 7'1". He can hit 40% of his threes. He blocks shots like a madman. Like he's probably going to be the 2 or 3 pick in the draft. And he picked Gonzaga over every other team. He didn't go to Kentucky. He didn't go to Kansas. He didn't go to Duke or Carolina. He went to Gonzaga.
D?
Gonzaga.
Well, I actually have the Duke versus Gonzaga matchup. And by the way, these two teams actually played each other this season, whether you knew it or not.
Played early. Duke won.
Duke won when these two teams played each other. I have Gonzaga getting retribution, though, and much like you guys, having Gonzaga moving into the Final Four from the West.
But you do know how retribution worked in the WWE, right?
Poorly.
Yeah. Poorly.
So then this brings us down to the bottom of the bracket on that side in the East. And this is where D Nash, you're going to start off telling us who's making it into the second round.
Which bracket is this again?
The East.
The East. All right, let me go to my other graphic here to go to the East. They're going to give them a tough run, and that's the 16th seed. Norfolk State, they're going to give them a tough run in the first half, but I have Baylor coming out winning that one.
Congrats on the MEAC not getting stuck in the first 4 games. Is that the first time in a while?
It's no. I want to say I think they weren't in it last year either.
No, just the SWAC team got put in the first 4, not the MEAC.
Just the SWAC team, yeah.
I feel like they always it's like the Celebration Bowl of college basketball is the playing game.
It kind of is, but there was the one infamous year where you did have both Texas Southern, where you had Texas Southern face North Carolina Central in the first round game.
Yeah, no, I know. That's what I was kind of alluding to. But sorry, I don't mean to get us off.
But yeah, you're right. It's always at least one, if not 2. But yeah, Baylor moves on. So does Carolina. Is that St. Mary's?
Mm-hmm.
UCLA, Virginia Tech, Purdue, San Francisco, and Kentucky.
All right. Let's see. For my picks, I also have Baylor moving on. I have North Carolina beating Marquette. Truthfully, I think this matchup could be a really good one too. This 5-12, especially I think if it's Indiana, but obviously those two teams playing very close to each other right now. But I'll have St. Mary's move on. Obviously coming from what's become a very tough conference. So give me the Gales. I have UCLA beating Akron, even though, again, I'm excited to see the Kangaroo back in the tournament. So then, yeah, the 6-11, I'm actually agreeing with you here, D. I think Virginia Tech definitely found themselves and went on a big run in that ACC tournament and even knocked off Duke at the end. I think they got primed at the right time. I think they knock off 6-seeded Texas and move on to the second round. Purdue, Yale, I mean, it's always fun to see if the Ivies can keep up. Those bold gods are not.
Yes, the Bull Gods.
The Bold Gods. You got to see that shirt if you haven't already. Google it. But so, yeah, I have Purdue moving on there. And actually, I'm agreeing with you here, too. As much as I usually like Murray State, and Murray State had a ridiculously good season, don't get me wrong. I liked San Francisco a lot. I don't think they can make a big-time run, but maybe pull this 10-7 upset. I said I'm going to have a little fun with this bracket here too. So, yeah, I'm going to have San Francisco move on. However, Kentucky does beat St. Peter's and moves into that second round. Lou?
Yep. A lot of these the same as you guys. Baylor getting past Norfolk. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on North Carolina, which is surprising for an 8-9 game. I'm agree with Coach. Yeah, Indiana's up 8 right now, so I'm going to have the Hoosiers actually beating, I think this is the only 5-12 one I picked. The 12 beating the 5. UCLA moving on. I feel like the most popular upset pick for everybody is Virginia Tech because of what they did in the ACC tournament. It's always hard. I feel like you never know with these teams like Virginia Tech and Richmond who pull off these amazing runs in their conference tournament, which gets them into the tournament if they can keep that momentum after a week off. But I'm going to say Virginia Tech keeps it up and beats Texas. Purdue beats Yale. I'm going to disagree with you guys in the next one. Murray State, they are a very good team. If they played in a different conference, they'd probably be a 5 seed. They should have been a 5 seed, not even a 6. So I got them. But the 7-10 is a good upset thing. I think I picked the other 3. I think I took the 10 seed in all other 7-10 matchups. But this one I'm going to take Murray, and then Kentucky will take care of St. Peter's.
All right, so then it starts with me for the Sweet 16. I got Baylor versus UNC, and guess what? I have the first number 1 seed going down. I think UNC is, I know they're the 8th seed. I know the ACC was looked down upon a bit this year, but I truthfully think they're one of the better ACC teams going into this, and I already said how Virginia Tech pulled off an upset. I think North Carolina does it and beats Baylor to move on to the Sweet 16. Then even though I mentioned, Lou, yes, about Indiana, I still picked St. Mary's in that matchup, not knowing what was going on there, and also mentioning that St. Mary's is in a very tough conference now too. They're day on UCLA for me, and I have UCLA moving on. I think UCLA is also very good this year. The Pac-12 had a few really, really good teams. Then Virginia Tech versus Purdue. Not only did I have the 1 fall off, here the 3 falls off. Virginia Tech knocks off Purdue and moves on to the Sweet 16. Then I had San Francisco versus Kentucky. As fun as it'd be to see them make a run, I do not have the Dons moving on, and Kentucky moves into the Sweet 16. Lou?
Coach is cheating off my paper.
Uh-huh.
I said, Coach is cheating off my paper.
I said, uh-huh.
And my reason for having North Carolina, obviously any team that can, take down Duke by a dozen in Cameron, in Coach K's last home game, obviously can beat probably close to any team in the country. But Baylor's dealing with some injury issues. One of their best players is out for the season. Their leading scorer hasn't played in a month and a half, and it's pretty doubtful that he's going to be able to at least play the first weekend. So unfortunately, the defending champions just aren't at full strength. So that's why I have North Carolina knock it off Baylor on this weekend. I got UCLA taking out Indiana after Indiana pulls the upset. Then, I'm also with Coach. I think Virginia Tech, this miracle run they're on continues. So 2 ACC teams surprisingly make the Sweet 16 in the East. And then what should be a great matchup only for regional aspects, if Murray State is in the state of Kentucky, takes on the Kentucky Wildcats. But I think Kentucky, led by Player of the Year Oscar Tshiebwe, will move on. So, but yeah, it's a little bit more fun in this region with a 2, 4, not 8 and 11 seeds.
D.
So basically, what you're saying is both of you guys have Carolina, UCLA, Virginia Tech, and Kentucky.
Yes, we have identical picks.
Well, we all do here.
Wow.
We all do here. Yeah.
We all picked the 2 upsets.
Yeah.
That's what happens when we fill these out before we start the show.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. I had the first round. Oh, wait. Did I? No, I had. Where am I now? No, I had that round. So, Lou, you're Elite 8.
Yeah, so last year's Final Four team UCLA. What is that guy's name? Johnny Juzang. What the heck? Leads UCLA to the Elite 8. Johnny Juzang, yeah, who led them all the way to the Final Four last year. Takes out the Tar Heels. And then, yeah, Kentucky's just got too much going on. Virginia Tech's dream ends in the Sweet 16. So Kentucky UCLA final. Elite 8 final in the East.
D.
Same thing as Lou. Yep.
All right. Well, I do agree with the UCLA pick. I think they're strong and a great contender for a Final Four this year. But I'm going to disagree. I think the 11-seeded Virginia Tech Hokies got something special going on. It's going to take something special to knock off Kentucky for sure. This goes back and forth, maybe even into overtime. But give me the Hokies. Give me the Virginia Tech Hokies to move on to the Elite 8. So, D, who is your Final Four team?
Kentucky.
For me, I'm actually taking 4-seeded UCLA to knock off Virginia Tech. That's where Virginia Tech, their dream run, ends in the 8. So
sorry, correction. I do have UCLA. Sorry about that.
You picked UCLA?
Yeah.
All right. So you cheated off my paper before you knew it.
If you say so. I'm going to go ahead and say you cheated off mine because I probably did mine first. But okay.
Well, mine was actually filled out before I started. It's not often I do it, but I did it earlier today.
So did I.
So that I could fill out my 2 brackets for Lou's challenge. All right, so he took UCLA. I took UCLA, as I was just mentioning. Lou.
I can't do that sound that D always makes. How do you make that cat sound?
Oh.
D? Yeah, that sound.
Yeah.
That sound for the Wildcats. Give me Kentucky to go to the Final Four.
All right, there you go. All right, so now we're going to
There you go.
I almost had it.
That was it.
That was it? All right.
That was it.
So now we're going to head to the South bracket. That would be South D.
All right.
And as I'm just getting the next one ready. But so this one starts with me as we go. Let's see. So first round matchup, I think Arizona takes out whoever the 16th seed is in the Wright State versus Bryant matchup. Arizona, I think, is a ridiculously good team, so we'll see how that goes. So then you have the 8-9. This one I think could go either way, as 8-9 should be able to do. And actually, I know I lost by not picking them a couple times down the line, so I'm going to take the Horned Frogs here. I'm going to take TCU to knock off the Pirates of Seton Hall and move into the second round. Also, I mentioned I did have, I had St. Mary's as a 5-seed winning. I had UConn as a 5-seed winning, but I did mention I did have some of those upsets. Well, here's one of them. I have UAB the Blazers. I picked them, in the tournament. I picked them to do well. Obviously, they had a fantastic season. Houston, always good and has a really strong team this year, too. But I'm going to take those Blazers to surprise and make this 12-5 matchup go UAB's way. So I have UAB moving into the second round, where they will take on Illinois, who will knock off Chattanooga. Colorado State versus Michigan. Again, I think this one could go either way. I know Michigan obviously has a couple issues going on, but I'm actually going to take Colorado State. I think they're a solid team this year and knock off Michigan. Tennessee versus Longwood. Again, nice to see Longwood make it. I believe it's their first time in the tournament, if I remember correctly. And always for teams, it's hard to win the first time in. You're taking on Tennessee, who is really good this year, too. I'm going to have Tennessee move on. Then you have the 7-10 matchup. And it seems to happen every year, right? Loyola Chicago seems to at least win one game, if not more. So I'm going to have them actually knock off Ohio State. And Sister Jean will be happy for 1 week as they move into the second round. Villanova, Delaware, I do not have the Blue Hens pulling off the upset, so I have Nova moving into the second round. Lou?
A lot of similar picks. I got Arizona, the 1 seed. I'm going to go with you on that 8-9 matchup, too. I like TCU to edge over Seton Hall. I'm going to go with last year's Final Four team, Houston. I know they've had a rough season, but I just like them to knock off UAB. Illinois, I'm going to go with Illinois in this sheet. I like to fill out multiple sheets. On at least one sheet, I will have Chattanooga pulling the upset, but for the Sleazy Sports sheet, I'll take Illinois. I think probably other than Virginia Tech beating Texas, I think the most popular upset pick you'll see around the country will be Michigan. In fact, Vegas actually has Michigan as a favorite in this game over Colorado State. I'm sure it's all based on name. Nobody knows who the heck Colorado State is. They are a very good basketball team, so I'm going to take Colorado State. Tennessee, as Coach said, Ohio State has not played well down the stretch, so much like Coach, I'm going to go with Sister Jean and the Ramblers of Loyola Chicago, and Delaware probably could have been a 16 seed, considering they were only a 5 seed in their own tournament, and they pulled off a huge upset even to be here. So give me Villanova.
D.
Oh man, I am agreeing with everything Lou just said, with the exception of the fighting Juwan Howards. The irony in that. That's the only thing I have different than Lou.
Okay,
so that means Arizona, TCU, Houston, Illinois, Michigan, Tennessee, and yes, I'm not mad at Longwood for what they did to my Aggies in the tournament. Loyola and Villanova.
All right, Lou, who makes the Sweet 16?
Yeah, I am going to go. Arizona looks really strong, obviously beating UCLA 2 out of 3 games this year. Trying to remember what the guy's name is. Benedict Matherin. You'll get used to that name during this tournament from Arizona. I think Illinois, obviously also you'll hear a name, Kofi Coburn. You'll hear quite often from the Illinois Fighting Illini. It's going to be a lottery pick. Tennessee coming off that hot win in the SEC tournament. They'll knock off Colorado State. And Colin Gillespie is another name you'll hear through the tournament. He's a 5th-year senior from Villanova. Didn't get to play last year. He got hurt in the Big East tournament. He's leads that Villanova team. Is it still a holdover from that 2018 championship team? So Villanova, kind of a chalky 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of like I did in the West.
It's all right, Lou, because that's how they always pan out.
There's always one region that does that. There's a region that's like 3, 6, 11, 12.
D.
Yeah, Arizona, Houston, Tennessee, Villanova.
I mean, there is some agreement here. I have Arizona moving on too. I said after the first win, they're a tough team to beat. I have Illinois, as did Lou, because Kofi Kingston versus Benedict Cumberbatch, that could be a great matchup. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, Kofi Colbert, yep. Nice.
Kofi Kingston versus Benedict Cumberbatch.
I know who Benedict Cumberbatch is. Who's Kofi Kingston?
Wrestler.
Both. Yes, he's from Jamaica, man.
Yeah, originally, right. That accent disappeared quick.
Yeah, it did.
So then Tennessee, Colorado State. Again, I mean, I agree Tennessee's strong as anything, but you know what? I also think Colorado State is sneaky good to people that aren't paying attention. And I have Colorado State pulling off this upset over 3-seeded Tennessee and moving on to the Sweet 16. And then Loyola versus Villanova. I mean, it'd be nice to see Loyola make a crazy run again, considering they just seem to be, Cinderella after Cinderella. But I think Nova's just too much for them, and Nova will move on to the Sweet 16. So, D, your Elite Eight.
Yes, I'm going Arizona and Tennessee.
Arizona and Tennessee. I agree with Arizona. I have them moving on too. My other matchup, though, is Colorado State versus Villanova. That is the 6 versus 2 seed. I know how good Nova should be, but again, I think Colorado State, like I said, little sneaky good, a team that can make a nice run. I'm going to have them knock off the 2-seeded Villanova Wildcats. Give me Colorado State to make the Elite Eight. Lou.
I agree with the Arizona. I'm actually going to take the SEC champion. I think they're on a roll, the Tennessee Volunteers. So give me Arizona, Tennessee, 1-3 in the Elite Eight.
And then this one becomes a little easier for me. I have Arizona taking Colorado State. I think Arizona is just really, really good. Colorado State, again, I think they're going to make a run, surprise some people, but I think they fall here, and Arizona makes it to the Final Four. That was everybody. So that was me. So Lou.
So I got Arizona versus Tennessee. It's a first-year coach at Arizona. Remember the Sean Miller debacle blew up last year, and this guy, though he is a longtime Mark Few assistant, the coach they got in Arizona. This is his first year ever as a head coach. And hey, with all those years, we saw Gonzaga do well in the tournament and not make it to the Final Four. Mm-hmm. This guy's not going to make it to the Final Four in his first year coaching. So give me Rick Barnes and his Tennessee Volunteers to represent. Give me my second SEC team in the Final Four, along with the Kentucky Wildcats and the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
I'll go Arizona. Sounds like a good alcoholic drink of Arizona iced tea and bourbon from Tennessee.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So then, of course, that takes us to the Midwest bracket. Lou, how's your second round shaping up?
We got Kansas. Probably will take care of Texas Southern pretty easy. Another 8-9. 8-9s are always hard to predict, but much like I felt with North Carolina being underseeded, I think San Diego State is wildly underseeded. They could have been a 7 or a 6. Even though Creighton did me well in the Big East tournament, I just don't think they're going to match up well with San Diego State. So give me the Aztecs. Richmond, again, it's one of those things. I know we got Virginia Tech going far off their big win. I think Richmond comes down to earth and loses to Iowa, another team also coming off a big conference tournament victory. Probably the biggest upset I think I've picked. I think a lot of people are picking this. Another team that probably is underseeded. They're here because they're the Summit League champion, and nobody cares about the Summit League. But the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State are 30-4. They went undefeated in the conference. Obviously, they won their conference tournament. And I don't think Providence wants any part of them. Providence is a very tough team, but they also won quite a few games. They were like 7-2 and 5-point games. So Ken Pom actually has a stat for luck. They rank all 300 some odd teams by luck. You know the number one team in the country for luck is?
San Diego State. South
no,
Dakota State.
The Providence Friars. Their luck runs out here. Give me the Jackrabbits to pull out what I think will be the biggest, a 13-4 upset of the first round. That next one is a tough one to figure out. LSU fired their coach finally, who needed to be fired. Wade, what the heck was his name?
Wade Barrett.
I want to say Wade Wilson, but Wade Wilson is from a movie. Whatever. The guy, he was mixed up in that whole thing that got Sean Miller fired. He should have been fired probably 2 years ago. But the guy who took over for them is the guy who used to coach Hampton, when Hampton pulled their 15-2 upset over Iowa State. So give me LSU beat Iowa State. No, actually, here's my biggest upset. Colgate, the Patriot League champion, takes down Wisconsin. I'm not as good on that one, but I got to pull some. I don't like this region at all. I do not like the Midwest. There's a lot of teams here I don't think are playing very well. I don't like LSU because of the fire, and I don't like Wisconsin. I didn't like Providence because they lost in the tournament. Give me our ACC brethren, Miami, to pull the win over USC, and give me Auburn.
D.
Kentucky, Creighton.
Kentucky.
I'm sorry, Kansas. Yeah, reading is fundamental. Kansas. Oh yeah, somehow Steve Austin's music pops and Kentucky comes in and takes over for Kansas and thrashes Texas Southern. Kansas, Creighton, Iowa, South Dakota State, Iowa State, Wisconsin, USC, Auburn.
Nice, lots of differences.
Yeah.
Let's see, what track am I on? I'm probably closer to Lou, but no, not completely. So yeah, I have Kansas beating Texas Southern. I do have difference here. I have Creighton. So I'm agreeing with D here. I think Creighton. I think the Blue Jays made a big run, which I didn't think they were going to make. I think they're good enough here, even minus Jimmer Fredette, to have a shot. So no, I think they actually win and knock off San Diego State. Then you have Iowa Richmond. I guess I only picked 112 because I have Iowa beating the Richmond Spiders. I think Iowa's a solid team too, and it could go either way though. Providence, South Dakota State. I tell you, it's unanimous. Not that anything like having Friars versus Jackrabbits isn't fun, but yeah, I'm taking South Dakota State as well. I like them to knock off the Friars. The Friars, I think down the line, even though obviously finished with a great record, I think fell off a little bit. So South Dakota State has a ton of confidence coming into this game and has a very good shot at it. LSU, Iowa State, I'm agreeing with Lou here. I have LSU moving on. I think they're just good enough. I don't know how much further they'd make it. And then I'm going with D, where I'm taking Wisconsin. I think the Badgers move on over Colgate. And again, I think the problem with Wisconsin, that is, and Lou doesn't think they're very good. I just think we're not really sure what they fully are. They've had ups and downs all season long. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in the tournament. But the Badgers have been there before. I'm also agreeing with Lou with Miami knocking off USC. I think Miami's been one of those kind of scary good ACC teams that didn't get much love down the line, and but I think they're good enough and they knock off USC, even though again that should be another great game. And I have Auburn beating the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. So D, what's your Sweet 16 looking like?
Yes, I have Kansas advancing along with Iowa. Not coach, but Lou, to answer your question, the assistant there at LSU, Kevin Nickelberry.
Yeah. Well, who's the guy that got fired? His last name is Wade or his first name is Wade?
No, it is Will Wade.
Will Wade. Yeah, so it's not Wade Wilson, it's Will Wade.
It's Will Wade.
Will Wade got canned, but he should have been canned a while ago.
It's Wade Wilson.
Wade Wilson was the former quarterback. Used to play with the Vikings for a little bit too.
Oh.
It's Wade Wilson in a wig.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that's Luke and Owen Wilson's other brother that doesn't act.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he's the one that he's like what's the Manning brother?
Exactly. Cooper.
Yeah. Cooper. Yeah. But yeah, Kevin Nickelberry, not only was he a head coach at Hampton, he was also a head coach just recently at Howard, where they let him go a couple of years ago.
That's the thing. I mean, you worry about them, going to the tournament with a new coach, but this is not a new coach. This is a guy with a lot of experience.
A lot of experience, most definitely. And he's also a DC native.
Nice.
But I have Wisconsin moving on over Iowa State and Auburn over USC.
Let's see. So I agree. I have Kansas knocking off Creighton and moving into the Sweet 16. But, maybe a little bit miracle run. I have South Dakota State knocking off Iowa. I think they're an underrated team going into this. Lou said just the crazy good season South Dakota State had. I think the Jackrabbits have a solid chance here to knock off Iowa. So I have them moving into the Sweet 16. Then LSU Wisconsin is my next matchup. I actually have Wisconsin moving on over LSU. Again, those are two teams in flux, so it'll be a very interesting game because I think we're really going to see what those teams have overall in this matchup of where are they going. Like I think either one of those teams I think has a shot to move on a bit if they find themselves and have a good game there. But I have Wisconsin moving on, and I do have Auburn knocking off Miami as well. Lou.
Yeah, I got Kansas moving on past San Diego State. Love the Jackrabbits, but Iowa's just got too much firepower. I'll talk about that in my next round. Yeah, I'm going to go with Nickelberry moving on to the Sweet 16. LSU and Auburn. Again, Kofi Coburn takes Auburn to the Sweet 16.
So then let's see. So my Sweet 16 matchups, I have Kansas versus South Dakota State. I finally think South Dakota State has met its match. Number 1 seeded Kansas, the Jayhawks, Rock Chalk Jayhawk knocks them off. And on the bottom side, I have Wisconsin versus Auburn. I mean, I do like Auburn a lot. On the flip side, I'm very interested to see what Wisconsin team we're going to have here too. For no better reason than I usually think Wisconsin likes to make runs, especially when we don't think they're going to. I'm going to have Wisconsin knock them off and move into the Elite Eight. Goes the Badgers. Lou.
Almost picked LSU to pull another upset off, but I'm gonna go with Auburn. Sets up a great Elite Eight. You got like NBA stars on every team left here. Kansas. You'll hear this name. It's hard to pronounce. Ochai Agbaji is the star player at Kansas.
That boy's a jumper.
He is a beast.
Yeah.
But probably the number one player, maybe in the tournament, is going to go top 3 in the draft is Keegan Murray, the star from Iowa. That should be an amazing matchup of Iowa versus Kansas. But I will give Kansas the edge. I think they play a little bit better defense than Iowa does. They both have amazing offenses, but Kansas has a little better defense. So I'll have a very boring 1-2 Elite Eight, which I think I have way too often.
Probably.
I have it twice.
D?
I am agreeing with Lou. I got a 1-2.
All right. So, Lou, who is your Final Four team?
Yeah, well, I got Gonzaga as 1, Kentucky's a 2, Tennessee's a 3. I'm gonna go with Kansas here. So I'll have 2 1s, a 2, and a 3 in my Final Four.
I think you really have to go with Providence to make the whole run then. So you could have a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I don't think Providence is getting out of the first round. So there's no 4. The 4 seed I like the most is I go back to my previous statement. If Arkansas had been in the Midwest and Tennessee Tech had been in the South, I would have gone Gonzaga, Tennessee Tech, Arkansas, Kentucky. Those are my 4 teams I wanted to, before I saw a bracket. Those were the teams I thought could make runs, but they stuck 3 of them in the same region.
D?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Stone Cold Kansas Kentuckies.
I got Kansas, Wisconsin, and I don't know, for no other reason to change up. I have number 1 Gonzaga, number 1 Arizona, number 4 UCLA, and then number 3, the Wisconsin Badgers, who Lou has losing in the first round, making it to my Final Four.
The thing I don't like about Wisconsin, I know it's late. Again, maybe I look at those stupid metrics too much, but like the net has them like in the 20s. Ken Palm's got them in the 30s. How the heck did they get a 3 seed? You know, I mean, the net, which is what takes all those quad wins and losses into place. I mean, they should have been like a 5 seed. I mean, I think they're way overseeded. But again, like you got teams like LSU and like I don't think Colgate's a strong 14, but Colgate's got experience. Remember, they were in the tournament last year, and I think they pulled an upset last year in the tournament, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, they're kind of like a junior Ivy League team. Don't ever discount tournament experience.
So, D Nash, who makes your national championship game?
All right, so my Final Four is. I'm asking.
Oh, you have Gonzaga versus UCLA and Arizona versus Kansas.
So yeah, I have Arizona and Gonzaga moving on to my finals.
There's sometimes, D, I just hate you. Because I have Arizona knocking off Wisconsin, and I have the Gonzaga Bulldogs knocking off UCLA Bruins and making my final game as
he's
each other.
I try to tell you. You know, every time his answer is the same as mine, he just tends to be after I do mine. But yet he somehow did his earlier today. Go figure.
So I have Gonzaga playing Kentucky. So I have Kentucky actually, the 2 seed knocking off the Zags once again, denying Mark Few the national championship he most richly probably deserves at this point in his career. And then I have Tennessee versus Kansas. We will not see an SEC final. I got the Jayhawks. So this is actually we will see a rematch of a very good game that was played earlier this season between Kentucky and Kansas. Two true blue bloods of the sport.
Don't we get enough all SEC and college
There's
football?
There's going to be SEC versus Big 12.
Big 12, see?
Kansas. Mm-hmm. I did not put Tennessee
I know. You teased it. That's all.
I teased it.
All right. So I've got Gonzaga versus Arizona in my national championship. And somebody comes up just a few money points short. And first-year coach wins first national championship. Give me the Arizona Wildcats. Lou.
I feel like D should go since you guys have the same picks. I mean,
what, to see if he copied off me this time? D.
Well, no, I thought he just said. Did you say that Arizona's going to win their first national? Well,
yes, he has Arizona winning.
Yeah, so he just went before me. So yeah, he already has it.
Oh, you picked Arizona too? You picked Arizona to beat Gonzaga?
No, he gave Arizona. I'm going Gonzaga.
Oh, okay, good. So you guys have different picks.
Yeah.
Somewhere. All right, Lou.
I have Kentucky beating Kentucky. I said it was a good game. It was not a good game. Kentucky went into Fog Allen Fieldhouse, whatever it's called, the home of Kansas, and they actually boat raced them off the court, beat them by like 25 points, and I don't think you come back from that. So give me Kentucky once again to win the. I don't know, what is that? Will that be Calipari's second? I don't know.
Yes.
He's only won one, right?
Yes. Just the one.
Oh, just the one with Anthony Davis.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
Because that's when you guys like to hate on him a bit, and I said he was going to win it all.
Well, it helps when you got Anthony Davis on your team.
I mean, that entire team was strong.
Yeah, especially him.
So there you go.
Wow.
Enjoy
They had John Wall on that team, and John Wall was with Boogie Cousins. I'm sorry.
Yeah, not that I think Oscar Sheboy is Anthony Davis by any means, but he's a good player. He's a very, very good player. Going to win several of the Player of the Year awards.
Yeah.
A couple of the guy from Kansas will win some of them.
Well, enjoy the madness, everybody, as it starts, and or it's really going on, and obviously the madness of baseball free agency, NFL free agency, all going on as well. Next week we will do the Western Baseball Division, right?
Yep.
So the Western
and Thursday, remember, Coach.
Right. And yeah, tonight we were finally on our normally scheduled night, Tuesday once again, but that's going to be delayed another couple weeks again, as we'll be on next Thursday, right here on Facebook Live. So check that out, because we'll have the West. If we have time, we're gonna do some of our best worst quarterbacks again before we move into our normal schedule, hot seats, and then the Central and the East Division in the next couple weeks after that. So thanks for listening and watching, everybody. We appreciate it. We are SLZE Sports, SLZesports.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at SLZE Sports. Every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. right here on Facebook Live. I think there's no better way to go out. I think we got to do it tonight just in tribute, right, D?
Always.
Hey, yo, to the bad guy. Thank you for watching and listening, everybody. Have a good night.
Hey, yo.